Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for taking a little time out of your day to check in to see how I did in the tournament here on the second day at Toho Kissimmee at the Bassmaster Open. And sort of going to give you guys a rundown of my day, let you know how it went. And yesterday, like I said, I was sort of in the middle of the pack. I had a slow day. I had a four that weighed 6 pounds and 4 ounces. And you know, the weights were down quite a bit. There was a big string for first place, but other than that, it dropped down quite a bit after that. So I knew that if I could go out today and catch, you know, 17 to 18 pounds, I'd have a chance to even come back and make the top 10 cut for sure. So I had to figure in that. I mean, when you're trying to make cuts and that type of stuff, you have to approach the tournament different than you would if it was just a regular tournament. And like we talked about before on the video before we came down here, you know, my goal in this tournament was to try to win the tournament, because, you know, you can't really make much money unless you do. You can't make the classic unless you do. So that was sort of what I was focused on. So yesterday what I did is I spent all day long offshore grass, mixing it up with a variety of techniques. I wound up catching, yesterday I caught 2 on a Megabass Vibration X lipless crankbait. Caught my biggest one on a Megabass Vision 110 jerkbait. And I did a little bit of everything. I was fishing those big grass flats out there. I'd had the first day of practice, I did pretty decent out there, if you guys watched the pre-practice report. So I felt that I could go out there and catch, you know, 12 to 18 pounds. That was really what I felt like to catch. And they just would not come up on those moving baits. And looking back, the mistake I made yesterday was I should have slowed down with like a big worm out there. I think a lot of the guys that caught them slowed down, but I didn't think that I needed to, because we had the wind, the water temperature was still in the upper 50s. You know, I thought I could just put that jerkbait in my hand and catch a good bag with a lipless crankbait. Just didn't happen. So today I had to make a decision. I had those, if you guys saw the video I did in practice, I had some flipping fish I caught down in Lake Kissimmee. Did a little bit better on those fish than I did in Lake Toho. So my plan was I was going to start out on the place where I caught my biggest one, that offshore spot yesterday, and give it 10 minutes. If the fish are in there and they happen to move in, I'd stay. If not, I'd run down. So I went there right off the bat and caught 2 small keepers right off the bat on that spot. And then it just didn't feel right. And so I pulled the plug and I made the decision to run down to Lake Kissimmee. Actually Hatch and Haw and Kissimmee, and I was going to spend the day flipping and throwing a swim jig a little bit too. So I started out flipping, and about an hour into the day I had a big one on and lost it. I don't know how big it was, but it was pulling pretty hard, flipping a way back into the reeds. I was actually flipping the block of old school jig with a Zoom Super Chunk black and blue on it, 50-pound test braided line. Pitching it and flipping it back in those reeds, and lost that big one on it. And I think that the fish, when it hit, I wasn't sure if it was a bite, and my rod was sort of out of position. I was sort of up in a 12 o'clock position, because when you're flipping those heavy reeds, a lot of times those fish will just grab it and hold it, and it feels like you're on a reed. And when I pulled up, the fish started pulling back, and I think I got a bad hook set on it, and that's why I lost that one. So anyway, fishing in there, about another hour into the day, I came to a set of pads, and I threw a swim jig in there and had a big one, about a 4 to 5 pounder, eat the thing, set the hook. I got the fish on, fighting it to the boat. I get it about 3 feet out away from the lily pads, and the thing comes off. So so at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, that's 2 really good ones. You know, so I felt that they're in there. Wound up fishing about another, you know, 2.5 hours without a bite. So I decided to make another move down to Kissimmee, where I caught him before, and I went down there where I caught him the first day, and right off the bat I caught a nice one, about a 3-pounder on the Vibration X crankbait. I had one little shell bed that I wanted to hit on the way down there. Fished around there, didn't do any good, and then spent the rest of the day pitching and flipping, and it just did not happen, guys. It just did not happen. I wound up catching 3 fish for almost 6 pounds, about what I had yesterday. Not good at all. So at this point, after you've had a tournament like this, you sort of look back and say, you know, what would I have done different? And looking back, I'm already beginning to think of it. If I had to do this tournament over again, the thing that I would have done different is I would have slowed down in that offshore grass and fished really slow with a big worm or maybe a lizard or something like that. I think that super cold weather that we had right in practice in the first day of the tournament, I think it shocked a lot of those fish, and they just were not in a chasing mood. These fish would not chase. I mean, if they were chasing, I'd have caught them yesterday. We had perfect conditions, and they just weren't. So if I had to do it over again, I'd put on like a big Zoom Old Monster, and that's actually what I caught those two keepers right off the bat on this morning, was that Old Monster worm. And I'd put a lightweight on, like an 1/8 ounce weight, 15-pound test line, and I'd get out there and just fish slow as a snail in the best grass that I could find. But it's easy looking back and saying that. But here's the thing about tournament fishing, guys. It's like if you have a bad day like I did yesterday, and you put yourself in a position where you've got to play catch up, you can't go to where you think there's like a bunch of fish just to get bit. You have got to put yourself around the caliber of fish that will allow you to make a comeback. So today, like I said, I put that flipping stick in my hand. I also threw a big glide bait some. I knew that I had to fish like that if I was gonna make a comeback. And when you fish like that, when you fish those big fish techniques, low percentage areas, high risk, high reward, you can't be scared to come in with, like I did today, a small bag. You can't be scared of failure if you want to try to catch a big bag and make a big comeback, because you'll never do it. If you don't fish for those type of fish, you'll never catch them. Yeah, I could have probably gone out and just goofed around and caught like a small limit out there today, but that wasn't going to do me any good in the tournament. So anyway, that's sort of a bummer here. The weather's been beautiful the last couple days, man. That's the best thing about it. It's 12 degrees back in Missouri this morning, I saw. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate y'all following the tournament this week. We had a lot of good views on the videos. Really, appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these videos. I really do. Just want you guys to know that. So that's the report for this week. Just have to go on to the next one. You can't let these bad tournaments affect you too much. Learn from them, move on, and there'll be another one coming up down the pike too. So anyway, guys, take care. We'll talk to y'all later. See you.